Hey, what up guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Kyle, and if you have been following along with this build, you would recognize the building behind me because this is the Barndominium that we've been working on. And today we took delivery of the partial delivery of our metal roof. There is a shortage of many things out there in this world right now, as many of you well know. And I guess black 26 gauge metal is one of them. And my supplier is working diligently to, finish and fill the rest of this order. But the good news is we got all of our trims and we got enough roof metal, which is a Metal Sales Image 2 26 gauge snap lock standing seam metal. So it's a great profile that we like. We've used it before. I've shared it with you guys on the channel, and we're gonna start putting together that roof package on the building behind me. So the reason I like the Metal Sales Image 2 is the detail package we use with the trims with the panels means that we have zero fasteners visible or even, I guess, out in the weather. That also means that we've got a lifetime leak-free roof, which obviously I feel good about. Exposed fasteners are gonna work fine for the most part, but at some point those fasteners will need to be replaced because the washers can go bad. I'm gonna take you guys through a lot of this process for the standing seam. The main roof is not gonna be that difficult. We've got gable to gable, no valleys, no hips, just a gable to gable roof with a ridge cap getting installed. But there's a lot of details that go along with that, like squaring up your panels, making sure your layout is correct. The big push for us is to get this upper roof on so that our concrete guy can run all the porch walls and the porch cap, because there's a big porch that's gonna wrap around this building. Then we will be putting another standing seam roof on that porch. The porch will have valleys, hips, ridges, wall connection details, all sorts of different standing seam details that I'll take you guys through and hopefully help somebody learn some detail work in case you want to tackle some of this work on a project that you have going on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So with the standing seam, the snap lock, we've got our Swenson snap table here. This thing is awesome. It saves us a lot of time. By all means, if you're doing this type of work, you do not need a snap table. You can do all of this by hand. And I'll show you guys one of the panels, maybe by hand. But for us, where efficiency matters, where time is money, this saves us time. And it does also a really good job with the end result. So we're gonna use our snap table. I doubt we'll get any steel installed today. Now for you guys, we'll get this prep work done and we're gonna run this standing seam right into one video, so don't worry. But today is all about prep work for us, getting all these panels prepped and ready to install. I just got in my truck today at the end of the day, and not every day is super productive. You guys always comment about you can't believe how much two guys get done on job sites. Well, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's usually just Greg and I. And the thing is, when you're working by yourselves, you can be focused and task-oriented, and you can do the things you want to do. Today, we showed up to the job site. Concrete guy, which I'm very happy for, decided that they were going to be there today to keep the project moving along. So that's what I say. I'm excited for it. But it meant that I had to do some of my GC responsibilities and make sure that they had all the information they needed, make sure that, we had a plan moving forward on how we were gonna get things done and coordinate the work that had to be done in order for me as the builder to keep working as well. So it was necessary. Also, the plumber was in the job site, and they're working on all the underground. They're working on getting prepped for the concrete guy. So what he is doing is very important, needs to get done for the schedule. The point of the story is that what that meant for me is that I did not get anything done today. And those are the types of days that I think a lot of people maybe experience and then wonder how we get stuff done. And I just want you to know that you're probably not going to get a whole lot done when you're working around subcontractors or other tradesmen, because it's just the way it goes. You need to coordinate, you need to collaborate. Sometimes things change and you're forced to make those changes on the fly, which means, sometimes the days are unproductive. But you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. We got a good game plan. I got good subcontractors, and I'm hoping that everything works out. We had a couple little minor mishaps that we needed to all come together and figure out, but that's the way it goes. You're not gonna build a house and have no issues. So we got those taken care of, and yeah, tomorrow, hopefully we're gonna get a lot of work done. We're gonna start getting this standing seam metal roof installed, and hopefully you guys stick around for that. So let's just keep going with this. So things have been a little bit weird here, guys. We've had weather just changing left and right on us. Greg and I don't really know what we're doing, so we're just gonna go ahead and make up some panels to keep ourselves busy. And hopefully the weather straightens out and it doesn't keep raining on us. It's just really been kind of miserable, to be honest, but thankfully we've got a nice little area here to continue. Oh, I gotta do this. So if the point is, if you see in the video, it's a little bit weird, like we're going from this to that, the weather's different, the clothes are different. I'm trying to piece together the story for you guys, the install of the standing seam, and make it, you know, make sense. But it doesn't make much sense here on site because we're all over the place. We're doing just a little bit about everything, just to try to stay busy.
Got smart side delivery showing up today.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, I'd probably just go home. Haha, what do you know? As soon as we start something else, just when we think, yeah, man, we're gonna do this, time to go and load a truck of LP Smart Side. I don't know how much material is coming on this order. I don't remember. I think it's a couple bunks. But what are the odds as soon as we get this started? So making up the panels is, it really is quite easy with the snap table, but it's still a process. It still takes a little bit of time. You can't just take these panels and throw them up. Greg, do you remember when we used to? Before we knew the whole hemming and everything? First standing seam jobs we did?
Yeah, I remember that one.
But we never did any hemming or anything. We just put fasteners in like a normal roof and then snapped it over. Still was mostly leak proof. But we've come a long way.
Yeah, we've learned a lot since then.
As much as I would have loved to have gone home and played Call of Duty, I'm glad we're doing this.
I don't want to feel a thing anymore, hell no. I just want to see if it's here the pain wears.
Oops, yeah, that'll work. So now that we've started installing our extended eave, what we're doing is taking our WeatherLogic seal tape and we're taping it to the WeatherLogic. So any moisture that might get on top of this panel is going to end up working itself out over the fascia instead of under and potentially doing any rot, which we don't plan on having any water there, but what builder does plan on water inside their building, Greg? So if you guys are curious, yesterday we started this process, but we had really inclement weather. We basically shut her down. And then today we woke up to, I don't know, 25 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, it's headed towards winter, so it's inevitable. We started this build in gorgeous, gorgeous weather, and hopefully we can get some of this exterior work like the roof done before it's too nasty. I don't think the roof should take us too long, but we are waiting on some more material. This is what our panel is going to lock onto here pretty soon when we start installing that. But our goal right now is to nail off all this fascia. We didn't have the right nails when we started, and get all this trim on so that we can lay out the roof, make sure everything is square and our layout is good for starting and finishing with a good turned up panel. So yeah, we're not just going to start installing panels. We got to do all the prep work first. Okay, let's make sure this is open.
No, I think you are playing Tampa, actually.
Really? Wait. I gotta get this all into this hem without cutting my finger, which I think I got it. Yeah. So we just came up to the top of the roof here and laid out our standing seam. Now these panels are 16 inches each. We've got a total of 51 panels, but not full panels. Each end is gonna be ripped down and bent up. So we had to find out where that first one was and equally measured it so that we've got the same distance on each end, just for symmetry? Symmetrics? That's not a word. Symmetry. Just to be symmetrical. You don't know. You don't know. So what we had to do was make sure that our roof was square, that our eave line was square to the gable rake side to this fascia line. Because when you look down this, right, this looks really nice. Hopefully you can see that. And we want our steel to look good also on that, but also we want it to go perfectly up the rake wall so that our trim detail that we have to do later on will work out properly. So we measured the total width of the building at the bottom and the top of the roof. They were both 6611 and a quarter. Mm-hmm. The good thing was we were the exact same dimension, top and bottom. So when we install our sheets, everything is going to be perfect. It should be. So yeah, we're going to go rip one and then we'll come back up and start installing right along the edge. Pretty good there, Greg? The important thing is that we're flush on the edge because we're gonna get a piece of trim right here. I mean, we did our math. We knew that we wanted this at 9 5/8. So we should be good there to the center of this point. We're gonna snap another one down and we're gonna mark and measure what the distance is so that we can then lay it out. Okay, so now we're just gonna go ahead. Oh my Lord. Now we're gonna go ahead and get it close. Because remember, we got this hem under here. Get it locked and then push it up. Okay, so Greg just walks up that, locking this hem down. Now that is locked in place, hence the name Snap Lock. And looks to me like I'm a little heavy on my line. 16? Yeah, I mean, but that's pretty normal.
Shy 16?
Yeah, that's pretty normal. So right here is our mark, our 4-foot mark. You can see it right along the sheet. And that means that these 3 pieces right here were consistently 16 inches on the spacing. So now Greg will mark out 16 inches every 16, and I will also mark out every 16. And that will be the goal, is to maintain that 16-inch dimension so that when we get way to the other side, we're even. That is the goal. Because when we measured this roof, it was the exact same dimension at the top and bottom, which means if we maintain 16-inch centers or edges, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it, then we should have the exact same dimension on our final rip at the very other end. And if it's 9 5/8 like it was here, that would be amazing. We'll see if that works out that way. It should, but it might be off a little bit by a quarter or something. I don't know. So one of the big advantages to a snap lock roof is that it doesn't have the same cost as a pure standing seam. So we got these screws going into this like nailing flange on a piece of vinyl siding. That's what I compare it to. And then the next piece is going to snap over top of it. So if you're doing a true standing seam, you might be installing clips and then the panel just kind of floats there. and then you've got a machine typically that does a double roll over top. So, I mean, it is definitely a better, more leak-proof roof in a sense, but on a sloped pitch like this, we're at 412, there's really no need for that. Water should never be sitting there working its way under. I got the screw, Greg. So this is a good cost advantage over a pure standing seam roof, but it's going to give you that kind of real nice detailed architectural look, and it's going to give you what's really important, especially on a project like this that's a house, no fasteners. So you don't have to come up here in 30 years, replace fasteners, or worry about, did your contractor hit anything solid with their screw? Did they miss a hole or whatever? And have to worry about any leaks. This is a leak-proof roof, and it's a lifetime roof. So as you can tell, this is a pretty repetitive process, 16 inches at a time. You know, on a roof like this that is gable to gable, no hip, no valley, it really is easy. As long as you get everything set up and prepped, laid out, you got a nice square roof to work off of, a nice flat roof, it really is pretty easy. Oh. So what we found works best when installing these panels is I get my bottom locked in here on the snap lock side, here on the hem at the eave, and then Greg is going to line up his panel top with his mark. Now once we get his mark, his panel screwed to his mark, I've got a mark down here that I'm also going to screw to. It's very hard to move standing seam if you get off. So you want to always stay exactly on your marks. There's not a bunch of ribs that can be stretched like an exposed panel, an exposed fastener panel. So then what we're going to do is screw up the screw flange before we snap it into place. Then all you're going to do is just apply a little bit of pressure with your foot, and it'll snap right into place. And this here has a little lip that goes into a groove, and it's not coming out. You know, if you were trying to just pull out a little piece, you could probably bend it, but the whole length of the panel snaps in, making it very strong. And then remember this tab we made down at the Swenson table? We're going to cut that exactly to the edge. I'm going to lightly tap it with my hammer just to close it up, and then we'll come back and we'll close up these bottom hems. So really most of the time is spent making the panels, which isn't that bad. You can do it pretty quickly. Installation is pretty darn straightforward once you have it all marked and laid out. So with this bottom edge, I'm just going to put a piece of cardboard in my seamers. That way it doesn't do any damage to the painted finish. And I'm just going to close this up. I kind of take it easy on the first pass, and then I give her a nice tight squeeze on the second pass. And that's what's going to lock this panel in to that extended eave that we already installed here before we started laying the panels. And this is what you're going to do if you want to get those Popeye forearms. Now would you look at that? Our neighbors across the pond here, they just had a crane show up. They got trusses going up. There's a one-story ranch getting built over there. I guess now we've got a race. The race is on, and here comes pride in the backstretch. Party going to the inside. I do like that. That is good.
That is pretty fast.
I still got that crane over there. I've only used a crane one time.
Probably looking back now, you would have been like, why didn't I learn about telehandlers?
Dude, that was stressful. My guy almost got knocked off the roof by the crane guy. They were 50 footers. in a house.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, they went across the main section of the house. And the crazy thing with these trusses was it formed like a flat area in the middle, and then another set of trusses went on top, kind of like Durestas.
Okay.
But it was like this truss system went this way like our house, but then there was another truss that went this way and another one that came in this way, and then it was like flat on the top that we then like ran another. It was weird, dude.
Because of
Just the way the trusses went and the strength and the load bearing, they had to like go like opposite and then come back. I don't know. It was funny because a lot of people were like, "Hey, this is your first like house build truss set?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, well, you jumped right into it then. Like, it was a complicated one. There was all hips and like, you know, just a lot of stuff. And the porch was a real pain.
Well, yeah, it was like that weird one you said, right?
I had to like do all this hand framing to make the porch, and all the soffits on the house stopped at the trim for the windows. So all the windows had to be like dead nuts because the window trim was the soffit fascia trim, like the top of it. Dude, it was pretty intense. Looking back, it's like, I don't even know how I did that, to be honest. I lost a lot of sleep. Didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of winged it. I remember when I did that porch roof, I had freaking like string lines everywhere trying to line up, make sure it worked right. Because I wanted everything level, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would have been, looking back, I guess. I think what I've probably learned the most is tolerances, you know?
Yeah. Tolerances, efficiencies, and...
Well, in the mathematic formulas,
Yeah.
that's really helped.
Yeah.
Math don't lie.
And having a calculator that helps.
Yep. I literally just used a lot of geometry, dude. Side angle side. I mean, 3, 4, 5 is like the most simplest of forms.
When you're in high school, you do that kind of stuff, you're like, when am I ever going to use this in real life?
Yeah, right? The most common thing a middle schooler tells their teacher, when am I ever going to use this in real life? Like, it doesn't make no sense. Now that we're really close to the edge of the upper roof section, we've already done this a couple times, but just for the video's sake, what we want to do is double check the dimension to the edge back to the center, and I am just shy of 7/8, Greg, more like probably...
Yeah, in between 7/8 and 13/16.
Yeah, yep, for the center, okay? So that's important because that means when we get to our last piece, we've got a nice consistent rip, bend up, everything looks good. If you were 2 inches ahead on one side, top or bottom, that might look a little goofy. So staying perpendicular and square to your eave is important, and it all starts at the beginning when you start framing the building. If you're just the framer, make it easy on your roofer, and if you're the roofer and it ain't square, blame your framer. Well, unless you didn't lay it out right, then I guess it's...
Unless you are the framer.
Yeah, oh yeah, and then if you're everybody, then blame Greg. You know, I don't think a lot of people probably, you know, I shouldn't say I don't think a lot of people. I think a lot of people look at our work, something like this, and think it looks really good. But I don't think they really understand what it takes, like from the very beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, from the foundation.
Yeah. I'm just saying to get, like looking down our eaves, looking, you know, at our soffit, looking at this roof line, looking at how, yeah, you're getting close. Looking at how everything planes in really nice. Like, that doesn't just happen. Told you I seen a picture of another carpenter on IG who they did a black standing seam roof. And, you know, he posted all the pictures and was like, you know, yeah, it turned out great. We love it. It looks great. And I'm looking at this thing thinking it was so canned. And he is a good carpenter. Like, I mean, his work is good, but he's not a metal guy.
Yeah, I guess if you don't really know what you're looking for, how do you know?
Yeah. Well, that's what I usually say is I think a lot of times people see a project and they think, dude, that looks good. They have no clue why, but it's because things are straight, they're square, they're perpendicular, like all the angles and the geometry behind the building is right. You know what I'm saying? Things aren't crooked in oil can, so your eye just looks at it like, this looks really good. So I'm sitting at like just over 5, dude, I'm 9 5/8. Like that measurement's like 9 5/8.
9 5/8 is what I would do.
Yeah, cool. All right, beautiful. All right, so we got our measurement. We'll go ahead and we will cut, roll that up. So we've got a nice 7/8 inch bend up. That's where our trim will attach. That'll not allow any water to go into our rake trims on the sides. And that'll finish off this roof. Oh, correction. That'll finish off this section of the roof. We've got the other side of the upper and then the garage to do. And then we've still got a ton of detail work to do on the porches. That'll be where all the hips, the valleys, connection trim, sidewall flashings, you know, you name it, there's a lot of details on that porch.